Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Heltman, the field organizer with Mom's Clean Air Force. Thank you for joining us today for this special coffee and climate conversation. This marks the beginning of the Hispanic Heritage Month by honoring voices, leadership, and lived experiences in the Latino communities in the fight for climate change and environmental justice. It's important because climate change disproportionately impacts communities of color, including many Latino families who work, live, and go to school in areas most affected by pollution and extreme weather. By centering these stories and solutions, we are not only here to celebrate cultural heritage, but also to elevate the vital role that Latino advocates and families play in protecting the health of our children and the future of our planet. Today, we are listening to two incredible organizers from our team, whose stories and work are help shaping the movement for clean air and climate justice. Mary Wagner is from Nevada, and Fabiola Betoya is from Arizona. We'll be talking about what this month means to them, the power of storytelling, and the leadership they bring to the table every day. Let's begin with a quick question. Mary, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to this work? And what is community organizing, and what's unique about organizing in the Latino community?
Hi, everyone. I am the Nevada field organizer with Moms Clean Air Force de Comadres in the state of Nevada. I am a proud mother of two beautiful boys, one of whom is asthmatic. About 3 years ago, I went to a women's voting event, and that's where I met leaders from an amazing organization called Make the Road Nevada. I was so inspired by their stories. These women were working so hard to educate and mobilize their communities. And that's what made me want to get involved. Once I was in the space, I started learning about different injustices in our communities, especially the Latino community. One that really stood out to me was the environmental injustice. I began to understand how things like air quality and extreme weather directly affected families like mine. And with my son being asthmatic, I felt a strong need to learn more about how I can take action not just for him, but also to help educate and mobilize other mothers like myself.
Thank you, Mary. And Fabiola?
Okay, so hola, my name is Fabiola Bedoya. I was born in Mexico, raised in the desert of Tucson, Arizona. That's where I reside. I'm a field organizer here in Arizona. And a little bit about myself. I guess I can kind of start from the beginning. So I was raised from a single mom from about age 12 forward who worked two jobs to make ends meet. And both of us relied on public transportation. So growing up, I was always envious of kids that went to summer camp, kids that would go on family vacations, because I did not have any access to that. I could go as far as the bus route would take me, which back then was not that far. So growing up with that experience, in my early 20s, I decided to really take it upon myself to explore some of the outdoors. I've never taken a road trip by myself, but I was like, I'm going to the Grand Canyon. We're going to make this happen. We're going to see what's out there. And I did it, and it was a little bit life changing to the point where it just made me want to explore the outdoors a little bit more. Once I became a single mother later on in life, is when I kind of picked up a lot of injustices that were happening within the community, but also it was experiencing what I had lived through being raised by a single parent. So I was able to kind of relive some of those things and say, you know what? No, I got to do something different about this, for my son's next generation. And so I kind of began organizing a community group, of creative Latinas, which got me really diving deep into data when it comes to Latinos, when it comes to everything economic development, environmental justice. And that's what kind of sprung me into this work. I was not able to really see myself represented. So I really have been striving to find different Latinos in this environmental space to make a difference, and really come from it in an authentic, creative way to our culture.
Well, it sounds like both of you, family was a big inspiration. And now that I know a little bit of both about you, I'd love to hear about how Hispanic Heritage Month means to you personally, and how do you reflect on your identity and heritage at this time of the year? And Fabiola, do you want to go first this time?
Sure. Hispanic Heritage Month really is for me an opportunity for me to reconnect to things that I sometimes didn't experience with having the majority of my family in Mexico and me living and growing up in the United States. I've made a lot of efforts to tap into little things happening here locally when it comes to like events, music, food, dance, music, all of that, and really get my son involved so that he has that part of him to pass down to the next generations. So I really reflect in knowing what I didn't really grow up around and knowing what then I can do to integrate that into my son's life and just share resources with the community.
And Mary, go ahead and share your thoughts as well.
Yeah, to me, this time of year, I feel more proud of who I am and where I come from. I think about the strength and resilience and love in my community. I carry the lessons and values of my people, like caring for others and standing up for what's right into everything that I do. It's a time to celebrate our culture, to honor the struggles that brought us here.
Well, thank you both for that. And I know in our work, we know and understand how storytelling is such a powerful tool, especially when it comes from the heart. How do you see the Latinx leadership in storytelling shaping the fight for clean air and justice? And why do our stories matter? Fabiola, you want to go first, or Mary? Either one.
Sure. So I see the Latinx leadership and storytelling really shaping the fight for clean air and justice because a lot of us have that lived experience. We're able to tap into what we lived through, realize later in life, hey, these were injustices, and let's back this up by data. Let's recognize that this needs to change. And storytelling, can be done in many different ways. Film, music, dancing, and all that kind of builds connection, community, and helps shape people's hearts to change.
I agree. What about you, Mary? What do you think?
I feel like Latinx leadership brings heart and real life experiences to this fight, like Fabiola mentioned. We know what it's like to live in neighborhoods near highways, power plants, or areas with bad air quality. Our stories are powerful tools that we use to help people understand that clean air and justice are not just political issues, they're personal. And when we share our stories, we're not just raising awareness, we're building connection and inspiring action. And I feel like that's what really drives change. Our stories matter because they show the human side of these issues behind every policy or headline. There's a family, a child, a mom like myself trying to keep our kids healthy. Stories help people care. And when people care, they act, they vote, they speak up, and they join the movement.
Well, I want to thank the both of you for sharing that and your connections, your need to uplift community, and then making spaces for that to happen. And as we close out, what message would you like to share with our Moms Clean Air Force community and beyond? And this could just be, like I said, an inspiration note, a call to action, or just something you want to share from the heart. Mary, would you like to go first?
Absolutely. I think that my message is very simple. Don't ever think that your voice doesn't matter. As moms, we have so much power because we're fighting for our kids, our families, and our community. So I urge viewers to keep involving themselves, to speak up, and know that change starts with everyday people just like us. We're not alone in this work, we're not alone in this fight, and together we can make a real difference.
Fabiola?
Yeah, so the message that I would just kind of like to leave is that your stories matter. You can always use your stories as fuel for change when it comes to, like Mary mentioned, like clean air, environmental justice, because those are our lived experiences. And to recognize that you never know who's listening to your story and who that might impact and who's going to take action because of your story resonating with them. And that's the best way we can build comunidad here within this space is by sharing our stories and sharing resources. And yeah.
Well, thank you both for being a part of Eco Madres and such a huge part of that. I'm grateful for all the work that you do and the heart that you bring to it. Thank you for everyone who is watching. We hope this conversation sparks reflection, connection, and celebration. Follow along with us throughout Hispanic Heritage Month here with Mom's Clean Air Force as we celebrate so many who contributed to this movement. Thank you and take care. Stay connected.